Dear students, today we are going to study the Karl Marx theory of state. In previous lectures, we had discussed that how the Marx had given the various theories. Those theories were related to the class struggle, the theory of alienation, the theory of surplus value, the theory of historical materialism, and today we are going to study that Karl Marx theory of state. So, before starting the topic, I would like to mention some questions related to the topic. First question, it will always come in your mind that examine the Marx theory of state. What was the basically Marx theory of state is there, and what are those important component and important methods are there. So we will discuss this thing in this today's lecture. The second question related to this is that Karl Marx theory of state is still relevant in most point of time in competitive exams or the other exam. It always been asked that how far, why we are reading the Marx, how far the theory of Marx theory is still relevant. Discuss especially in terms of the poor or the rich countries. The third question can be critically examine the Marx philosophy on state. Means what was the science of idea was there related to the state. Means science of ideas means philosophy means the science of ideas, which means how the scientific nature was there in the Marx theory. So before moving towards the theory of state, first of all we need to understand the basic idea about the Marx theory. Marx was very much critical about the society, economy, polity, which collectively is known as the Marxism. Means Marx was a person who had studied the society in a very in-depth manner. According to Marx, as we have seen in the historical materialism, how that every society was divided into the two parts, except in the two society. First, the primary, or we call it as a pre-communist or communism, and the last is the communism or stateless society. Except these two societies, in all, either it is a feudal state, either it is capitalist state, either it is a socialist state. We can see that how there is two class concepts are there. So in this in socialist state, just I would like to give you one little light that there Marx has talked about the proletariat will control over the means of production and the state will hold all the property. So there will be no rich and poor class will be there. But still, he talked about the proletariat versus the capitalist there too. So I would not like to go into that. So Marx has given a basically idea about the society, how the society was divided. The most important factor according to the Marx behind the birth or the emergence of the state was only on the basis of economics. What is the economics? Economics means the means of production. The owners of means of production, who owns the means of productions, they are the important person, and they are the important person who are the deciding or who are always being rich class. As we had discussed in the previous lecture, that the theory of class struggle, that how the every society or every economy is always been divided on the basis of two class. One is the rich, other is the poor. One class is exploiting the other class. The person who is economically rich, they are always exploiting the poor, the person who don't have the money. So the labor have only one thing to sell their labors. So in this regard, we had discussed in previous lecture what are those important theory of the class struggle was there. The next thing we can say that how he has said that throughout the history, if you can see that whole development discourse was totally based on the class struggle. Marx has talked about the 5 stages. In the first 4 stages, if you can see, except the primary communism where there was no private property was there. After the birth of the private property, the feudal system, capitalist system, or we can say the industrial class, we had seen that how the class struggle was there, how the class struggle means the fight between the rich and poor, the discrimination by the rich class over the poor class. So Marx has talked about this thing. The third is the very critical approach is known as historical materialism. Means Marx has said his idea was not based on the idealistic. That's why means many point of time the questions come in the examination that how the Marx theory is far different than the Hegel's idea, or Marx theory was very much scientific in nature rather than the idealistic like Hegel. So Hegel had given his philosophy dialectics in terms of theory of ideas rather than the empirical term, or we can say that practical term. So we can see that how the Marx was very much empirical or scientific in nature theory was there. So what he has said that all the rich class is there, either it is a feudal, either it is a capitalist, either it is a industrialist, or in modern time if we can see that all the rich class, they are the product of discrimination. Means they have not divided their profit, as we had discussed in the theory of surplus value, that all the rich class always they are rich. Why? Because they have not divided their profit with their workers. For example, if a person have established a company and the company has done the 100 rupees profit, so the company requirement is there, the profit whatsoever is earned by the company, it should have to distribute among all the workers as well as the owner. Equal share should be there. So before moving ahead, after knowing the introduction, what kind of class struggle, how the state birth was there, we need to understand who was the Marx. Marx was a very important philosopher. He was born in 5th May 1818, and he was widely known as the journalist. He has also done the PhD. As I had mentioned you earlier, that he wanted to be an academician, a professor, but due to hard luck, or we can say that there was not such kind of opportunity was available, so he had joined as a kind of, he has started writing articles, so he was become as a kind of journalist. So he had started his career journalist not by the choice but by the compulsion. So Marx has married on the Jenny von Westphalen, and he was very much good friend of Frederick Engels, as all of us are knowing. He died in 1883, and means he had given a revolutionary theory that how all the workers in the world should unite and the fight against the discrimination. Means the basic Marx, we can say that Marx philosophy of Marx is known as the person who wanted to remove the discrimination from the society, from the world, and from the politics. After knowing those kind of things, who was the Marx, we need to understand, jump on the question, what was the Marx theory of state? So Marx theory of state, first thing we can come or cover under the topic as a state as a necessary evil. This statement has been given by the Marx. Means Marx has said that state as a necessary evil means state as a agency of exploitation. How? He had said, if we can see it from the history, from feudal system to capitalist system to the industrial system to the modern world, we can see that how there was a kind of state is there. Either we are talking about the small scale state or large state, all the states are existing only on the basis of the model, that is exploitation. Means the person, the owners of means of production, they are ruling the government decision making process, and indirectly they are benefiting and protecting and promoting their interest. So in this regard, Marx has talked about his theory of state as a necessary will. Second thing, we can talk about the Marx theory on state as an origin theory, means how the state has taken the birth. So according to the Marx, that state is nothing else, it is a product of history. He has said that we can see in terms of the history how the cultivation has started and it has given the birth to the property and the non-property class. A person who are the owners of land, the person who are the owners of industries, the person who are the owners of particular goods. So those persons who are the owners of particular good, he talked them, or he taken those person as a kind of property class, the rich class. Other person, those are workers, laborers, or the farmers, he told them as a non-property class, means they don't have the money. So he talked about how this idea about the state has emerged in the world. So he has given other point related to the theory of state as no possibility of human emancipation, means according to him the under the state there is only tool is allowed how to exploit the weaker person, how to exploit the poor person, how to exploit the rich class by the poor class, how the owners of means of production can discriminate the non-owners or the poor class. The next theory point we can mention in his theory that state as a product of society which is irreconcilable of the class struggle, means due on the basis of class struggle the idea of state has taken the birth. Next, he has criticized the Hegel's theory of state, where he talked about the state forming, means according to the Hegel, state is nothing else the march of God on the earth. Means state is been provided by the human beings for the betterment of all the person. Marx has criticized. Marx says that it is wrong notion. The all the person who are the either rich, what you call the political, the decision making person, or the businessman, they are here only for one motive. That motive is how to maximize their profit, and how their laws and all the things are totally based on the model of the discrimination. So he has said that it is an state as an instrument of dominant economic class exploiting and oppressing each other's sections of the society. Furthermore, what he has said he has defined the term state in his book The Communist Manifesto, that state executive committee by the bourgeoisie, means state is nothing else the group of few persons, elite class, we always know those persons, few sections of the society, they are ruling over the whole society, means the few person are controlling the decision making process and applying all the rules and the laws on the all the persons in the state. Apart from this, he has said that state has emerged in terms of the interpretation of history and only in terms of means of production and the class exploitation. Furthermore, he had also mentioned very one important point, that it never either natural institution or as a result of social contract, means what he has said that state is not a product of social contract as we had discussed in terms of the Hobbes law or the Rousseau. He said that state has established only by the motive or only on the model of capitalist class, the rich class. They have prepared the state for the protection and the promotion of their wealth, means it is not been created on the basis of the social contract theory. It is not based on the kind of divine rule or the god has created the state. It is created by the few rich class or the owners of the means of production. Apart from this, he has said that state as an instrument of class domination, means one rich class will dominate over the another class. And what he said that state always protects the interest of property class. What he has mentioned in his book The Communist Manifesto, the executive of the modern state is but a committee for managing the common affairs of the whole bourgeoisie, and also that the state is nothing more than the form of organization which the bourgeoisie necessarily adopt both for internal and external purposes for the mutual guarantee of their property and the interest. So means the rich class is using the state for the betterment and the promotion, for the promotion of their rights. In this regard, last few point I would like to mention that he had criticized the liberals theory that state is created for the development. He said that state is nothing else but only the agent of capitalist class, means state is here only due to the capitalist class, and the capitalist class has created this kind of state. Next thing he has talked about, the real democracy is only possible when there will be classless society will be there, means till the time we can see the rich and poor class will be there will be never be a real form of the democracy can be there. Means democracy means ruled by the people for the people in the decision making process, means the all the people will be sovereign enough, and all the rules and the laws are prepared by the people. So he said that it is false notion, because till the time if you can remove this class struggle or this class concept rich and poor, till that time the real democracy never been possible, and always the rich person will always be the part of the parliament. As we can see in the case of current India, around more than 90% MPs are millionaires, they are crorepati's, and they are the means we can see that every election means cost us 2-3 crore rupees. So who can fight or who can contest the election? The election commission provide very less money in the India. So we can see that how the rich class are participating in the parliament, and they are the especially members of the parliament. So they have means according to the Marx, the rich class, the owners of the means of production always hold the political structure of political control too. And apart from that, he has said that I had already explained you control over the means of economic production by the few rich family, means the rich few person always control the property over the all the persons in the society. Next, last thing he has said, the state discrimination can be only possible through the model of proletariat revolution against the rich class. Means once the revolution will occur, and that thing will remove the notion or the idea of the state, means a stateless society. So he had given the theory of the stateless, how the revolution will occur and how all the person will overcome from such kind of discrimination. Now we can do the evaluation or analysis. We can say that few positive points are there, few negative points are there. He was the propounder of the class struggle theory. He was the person who had unearthed the truth about there are two classes are there, and the capitalist class is totally based on the exploitation. The person who are rich only on the basis or on the model of the exploitation. So he was the person who had given a very scientific idea or the philosophy related to the state. Before than that there was no such kind of theory was there. So means apart from that there are some negative points are there. Feminist thinker has raised the problem that Marx has nowhere talked about the role of women, or women subjugation is also been there. So nowhere Marx has talked about the women subjugation or the feminist. That's why means we have seen that Alexandra Kollontai, how she had very different views about the Lenin. So I would not like to go into the Alexandra Kollontais philosophy, but here we can see that how the many feminist thinker has criticized the Marx for not counting the discrimination or for overstating the women's discrimination. Next, means liberal has said that the real development is only possible in the model of the competition. Means liberals have said that if all the persons are aware about the fact, if they will do or not do the work, they will get the same food to eat or survive in the earth, then they are not going to perform any particular kind of act or any activity, because they are aware about the fact there is no I am going to add in my property. So means according to the liberal class, the Marx idea was not scientific in nature. It was very much based on the philosophy or ideas. It was far away from the truth. So now we can conclude the Marx theory on the state. Marx was a revolutionary and the socialist principle, means with the help of his theory of state, he tried to explore or mention the how the discriminatory system is established in the world, and that discriminatory system can be only possible, we can overcome from the discrimination, is the revolution by the proletariat class. And he was the person who has genuinely emancipated the human right concept, the discrimination. And his theory of origin theory and the private property of the state, undoubtedly it was very good. And we can see that in the modern era, that how the big giants of big companies, mini ratna or this Amazon, the what you call whole MNCs are controlling the world economy. And we can see that how the poverty is, the Gini coefficient is increasing day by day. So we can see these kind of important things. So I hope that I have solved all the questions and the doubts. In next class we will discuss the another theory.